Everybody, JC here with a TNI toy review, and for today's review I'm going to be taking a look at the brand new Masters of the Universe Masterverse Revelation 2-pack featuring Savage, He-Man, and Orko. So this set has just started to see release from places like our sponsor Big Bad Toy Store. They started shipping these out this week, and it comes in the same style of packaging that we see with all the Revelation Masterverse figures. You've got the window box. Obviously, it's bigger than a regular figure since it is a 2-pack. You've got the Netflix logo up there in the corner. The figures are clearly displayed. And then on the side of the packaging, you get some artwork, some pretty cool artwork of both He-Man, Savage He-Man, and Orko. And then on the back, you have more artwork for Savage He-Man as well as a brief bio. And then down below, a look at other figures in the line, including the upcoming deluxe Triclops figure. All right, so let's get this open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figures outside the packaging along with the other contents, and you get a couple of different weapon accessories for Savage He-Man as well as an extra pair of hands. The only thing that Orko comes with is a flight stand. So starting things off, we get He-Man's power sword, and I'm not entirely sure why they included a power sword with this particular figure, since the whole idea behind the Savage He-Man, if you've seen part 2 of Revelation, is that, he calls down the power of Grayskull without actually using the sword, which, makes him really strong, but he's also just kind of a mindless brute. So, again, I'm not sure why they included it. It is the same power sword that came with the regular He-Man. It is also the same power sword that we got with the Skelly God figure, so this is the third time now that they've given us this particular accessory. Next up, we get an axe accessory, which is something that we've seen with previous He-Man figures, but was not included with the regular He-Man. So, this is, I believe, if I remember correctly, is something that we actually saw him use in the cartoon. But also, if you wanted an axe accessory for your regular He-Man, you could use this one as well. It's done with this kind of silver plastic. You've got some scratch marks and stuff on the blade there, so all that looks pretty good. You've got the same kind of brown wrapping like with the power sword, so not super detailed, but there's a little bit of detail here, so overall not too bad. And then the final weapon accessory that's included with this one is a spear. So overall not too bad. You've got the brown shaft, and you've got some lighter color here on the rope. And then you also have, the stone tip, which, looks actually like stone. It's actually sculpted, so it does look like actual stone, which is nice. So, overall pretty nice detailing with the spear here. And then finally for He-Man, you get an extra pair of hands. So you get these open hands, which are attached to the figure when you take it out of the packaging, neither of which can hold any of the accessories that it comes with. So they've also included a pair of grip hands, which again, you'll need to switch out if you want him to actually hold anything. And no closed fists with this one. But you do get these grip hands again, and so I'm going to go on and put those on because we will need those for him again to hold any of the accessories that are included. Now for Orko, as I mentioned, the only accessory he comes with is this clear plastic flight stand. So you've got some articulation down here at the bottom where it can rock back and forth. It will also rotate. And then you have up here at the very top, it's articulated so you can do it back and forth. There is no articulation here in this midsection. It's just kind of done like an L shape. So no articulation here. But, overall it does a pretty good job. And I do like that they made it clear so, it won't show up in photography that much. It just plugs into the underside of Orko and, overall plugs in pretty good. Or easy, I should say. And then... maybe I would say it's a little bit loose. He sits a little bit loose on there. So, and definitely over time I could see that maybe getting more loose. So, I don't know. I mean, overall it's not too bad, but I do kind of worry that perhaps over some time it might get loose and it might be hard to get him to kind of sit there and stay straight without kind of tilting over to the right or left. It would have been nice if we'd gotten some magic effects for Orko, but unfortunately they did not think to include anything like that. I would have rather gotten like a magic effect than say the power sword again. Okay, now let's take a look at the actual figures themselves, starting off with Savage He-Man. And overall, I don't think this is a bad looking figure. However, I don't think they've done a good job of incorporating the actual look of this character from the Revelation cartoon. In the cartoon, he seemed like he was much more stocky. And this one, you know, he's very muscular, but, you know, he just doesn't really have the body look type of what it looked like in the cartoon to me. So I don't know if they made this figure before they actually saw the animation from the cartoon. That's what it kind of feels like to me. But I don't think they did a good job of capturing the look of the actual Savage He-Man from the cartoon. Now, that being said, I don't think this is a bad looking figure. Face sculpt is pretty good. Eyes look pretty good overall. He's got the long blonde hair with some wash effect. And overall, I would say it's not too bad. Yeah, it gets maybe a little dark here. The wash effect gets a little dark there in that one strip of hair there. So, you know, it's a little off even. But overall, you know, I don't have a huge problem with that. And then he has this wash throughout, you know, the skin tone, which, again, at places it gets a little splotchy. You know, you do kind of notice that a little bit. Down here on the thigh and stuff. Now with the loincloth, which is the only thing he's wearing, you know, the wash is nice with the light and dark browns. You've got the string, and then you've got the tattered piece kind of bent over, so all that looks pretty good. So, as I said, it's not a bad looking figure. I just don't feel like it incorporates the actual look of the character from the cartoon. But, you know, if you're just looking for, you know, a He-Man that's only wearing a loincloth and nothing else, or, you know, even, you know, I feel like this might make a good stand-in for, like, Kazar, if you know, for Marvel Legends, though he might be a little bit tall. But, you know, he definitely kind of has that Kazar look to me more so than the Revelation Savage He-Man. Now, Orko, I think, is the more accurate looking of the two figures in this set and how they appeared in the cartoon. I like how they've done the eyes on this one. He's got the hat and his ears stick out. The hat is not removable. You've got a little added piece here, which is nice. He's got this big giant scarf thing that, you know, covers up his face. So you really only can see his eyes, which, you know, is how Orko is always kind of portrayed. He's got the blue arms. He's not wearing any sleeves. Now, one thing I noticed, and I don't know, this is probably cartoon accurate, but he does not have the O on his chest, like in the original cartoon and stuff. So I don't remember exactly if he had that in the new Revelation cartoon, but I did notice that, you know, under this scarf, it is just his red tunic and nothing else. So... But still, for the most part, I mean, there's nothing under there. It's mostly just this head attached to this piece of plastic, which, you know, is flexible and everything. So, but still, you know, that's pretty much what Orko is. So I feel like the figure does a pretty good job here. Okay, so Savage He-Man here stands right about 7 3/4 inches tall. And then Orko himself is about, if you count to the tip of his hat, roughly about 4 inches. But when he's on the flight stand, he comes in about 5 3/4 inches tall. Okay, and here's a comparison with the regular He-Man, and you can see the two figures are almost exactly the same height. Savage He-Man is maybe a little bit taller, but for the most part they are the same height. And again, going back to the cartoon, I don't think that's very accurate because, as I said, I feel like in the cartoon, Savage He-Man was much stockier than he was when he was just regular old He-Man. And then here's a comparison with Skelly God. Skelly God is taller. And then finally, for one more comparison, going back to that idea that you might use this as a fill-in for Kazar with your Marvel Legend figures, here's a comparison with the Marvel Legends Sauron. And here's a comparison of the 3 Orkos that I have. So the new one from Revelation, this is the Masters of the Universe Classics Orko, and then this is the Origins Orko, which actually I think is probably the best of the 3 figures, though I do kind of like this more modern look for Orko. But I feel this has the best stand, most stable stand. This one falls over at a heartbeat, and this one's actually a little bit bigger than the other 2 as well. For articulation on Savage He-Man, you can turn the head all the way around, though the hair does get in the way a little bit. The head might pop off, but you can, you know, technically kind of turn it all the way. He really doesn't get much in the way of down movement and no back movement because of the long hair. The hair is made with just a rubber type material, With the arms, you can get the arm out good, no butterfly joint, but you've got good rotation there at the shoulder. You've got a bicep swivel. You have a double hinged elbow, so he can bend his elbow pretty good there. And then you have rotation with the hands, and you do have hinges on the hands, which gives you some up and down movement. You get a midsection joint, so you've got rotation there at the midsection. No real ab crunch though. You can do back a little bit, but not too much. You also get a waist swivel with this one. With the legs, he can do the splits pretty good, and he can get the leg forward pretty good, and he can do the leg out and back. You get the thigh swivel. You get double hinged knees. You get a boot cuff swivel. You get hinges on the feet, so up and down movement, and you get ankle pivot, and 2 peg holes on the bottom of the feet. Okay, and then with Orko, you get head movement. He can rotate the head all the way around. The head's attached with a ball joint, so you get some pretty good back and forth movement. With Orko, you can kind of have him down so you barely see his eyes, or you can have them more up so you can get a better look at his face, and you get some head pivot as well. That's his primary source of articulation. The arms are attached with ball hinge joints, so you can rotate the arms, but the rest of the arm is not articulated. They're made with a rubber type material, so you can kind of bend it a little bit, but there's no actual articulated joints on the rest of the arms, just up there at the shoulders. And then, as I said, underneath there, there's nothing there, so no other articulation on this figure. Okay, so that's my review. And between these two figures, Orko is definitely my favorite, which is why I got the set anyway. I wasn't that feeling like a huge need for a Savage He-Man. I don't think it does a good job of representing Savage He-Man from the cartoon. I feel like this maybe is based more on the mini comics, how, there was a version of this in the mini comics and it looks very much like that. So I think that's what maybe Mattel originally based this figure on. And then when they found out maybe Savage He-Man was going to be in the actual cartoon, that's what they, decided to release this as. But I just, the Savage He-Man, the cartoon is much stockier than this one. I do feel like, again, it is good representation of that mini comic one, or again, if you're looking for like a Kazar fill-in, I think this might work. But as a Revelation Savage He-Man, I do feel like this figure does not do a good job. But Orko, I think, is a good representation. Obviously, Orko changes his appearance from season 1 to season 2. Not going to give away too many spoilers, but obviously, if you haven't seen Revelation Part 2 by now, you're probably not going to. Orko is not dead. But we do get a different look for Orko in season 2. But I do think this does a good job of representing Orko from season 1. It's why I got this set to begin with. The only minor complaint I really have with Orko is A, I think he fits a little loose on his flight stand, and then B, it would have been nice if we'd maybe gotten some type of magic effects to go along with him. I'd love to hear your thoughts on everything I talked about down in the comments section below. Are you interested in getting this set? Have you gotten it yet? What are your thoughts on Savage He-Man, or are you primarily just getting it for Orko? As I said, let me know in the comments section below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate it, and hit that bell notification so you're alerted every time I upload a new video. Stay safe out there, guys, and until next time, I'll catch you later.
Hey, thanks for watching today's video, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification so you're alerted every time I upload a new video. And be sure to head over to the Toy News International and Marvelous News Message Boards communities. It's a great place to talk toys and win cool contests like $100 store credits to Big Bad Toy Store. And remember, action figures are great.